Chief Family Court Judge on Bondage website. What basically happened here was it's a scandal involving a judge called Lori Douglas. In 2002, her husband, Jack King, was acting as a family lawyer for a guy called Alex Chapman. He also pressured this guy, Alex Chapman, to engage in weird bondage sexual acts with his wife, Lori Douglas, who was at the time posting pictures of herself, or maybe it was her husband posting them, but she certainly posed for them in any case, on some website for people who have a fetish about getting raped by big black guys. So, you know, what they do in their bedroom, like, that's their private life, but her husband was pressuring his client to, you know, do this bondage rape stuff with his wife. And the client, Mr. Chapman, filed a complaint, and King ended up getting removed from the law firm, and Chapman also had to sign something to say that, you know, he wouldn't bring it up again. Well, years later now, you know, Lori's a judge, and I guess it's on Chapman's conscience, and so he brought it up. And this is big news. Oh, scandal, the judge, she's naked, bondage. But you know what my reaction was to this? Are you surprised? This is nothing unusual. The system is rotten to the core. The corruption is systemic. I'm just going to give you a few examples to show you why I'm saying that. Here's one. Pentagon declined to investigate hundreds of purchases of child pornography. Well, this goes back to 2006. Apparently about 264, I think, Pentagon and civilian and military employees of the Pentagon were caught buying child pornography. Only 54 were investigated and 10 were prosecuted. Cover up. You know, they've got, like, To Catch a Predator is this show. They make a big show of this, right? They lure some guy to meet with a 13-year-old girl and they arrest him. Meanwhile, you have, you know, over 260 people at the Pentagon buying child pornography, and they get away with it. This one's from The Guardian. Carlos Cruz jailed for 7 years for pedophile offenses. One of Portugal's most famous television presenters and a former ambassador were among 6 men found guilty yesterday of involvement with a pedophile prostitution ring that exploited children from state-run orphanages. It says that the guilty verdict came after 3 decades of rumors about systemic abuse of young boys at the 230-year-old Casa Pia network of orphanages. So this went on for decades, and I guess was effectively covered up until finally it was, for some reason, somebody had to go down for it. But you can rest assured that there are more people doing this who are being protected. This is from the Raw Story. Exclusive, major human trafficker is huge GOP donor who fought illegal immigration. It says here that a business owner was indicted for the human trafficking of 400 laborers from Thailand, and he was a frequent donor to the Republican Party and recently waged war against other companies involved in hiring illegal immigrants. So you can imagine all these years he's giving all this money to the Republican Party, giving money to the government, I guess buying himself connections and protection, and publicly speaking out against, you know, companies that hire illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, he's involved in human trafficking. There's so many cases of this kind of stuff going on. It's not the exception. You know, people say, oh, it's a few bad apples. No, the whole basket is rotten. It's the ones that are not rotten that are the exception. Okay, here's a book that I've been reading called, it's by Madame Ghis, Escape in Prison. Madame Ghis has written a few really outstanding books. One of them is The Medical Mafia. If you want to understand the systemic corruption, rottenness of the medical system, read The Medical Mafia. I'll explain it very well. But here she's talking about the legal system and the prison system. I won't tell you her story, but I'll just tell you, I'll read you this. This is what she found on the summons. It says, everyone who is served with the summons and who fails without lawful excuse, this is Canadian law, probably the same in America though, the proof of which lies upon him to appear at a time and place stated therein, if any, for the purpose of the identification of criminals act, or to attend court in accordance therewith, is guilty of A, an indictable offense, and is liable to imprisonment for 2 years, or B, an offense punishable on summary conviction. Okay, that's subsection 1454 of the Criminal Code. So she said, well, I think I'm going to look up some of this terminology. What are they talking about? Well, this is where the law dictionary comes into the picture. Because the definitions you find in the Law Dictionary are very revealing, because they're not what you would think. First of all, everyone means Her Majesty and the organizations. Her Majesty, the organizations. What's that? Doesn't sound like that could be a person, a human being rather, not a person, which is a legal identity that's a corporate fiction, otherwise known as a straw man. Her Majesty is synonymous with the crown, she explains here. Many authors agree to the fact that this is a corporation whose real name is the Crown of the Knights Templar. The Crown of the Knights Templar is itself a possession of the Church of Rome, the seat of which is the Vatican. Elizabeth II is merely the official representative of the Crown. She kneels before the Pope, the official representative of God on earth. So let's talk about the Pope. You've probably heard of this kind of stuff. Pope Benedict the, 16th? Led cover-up of pedophile priests. Oh yeah, the pedophilia, the systemic pedophilia in the Catholic Church. Well, here's the thing. While the Pope makes some vague apologies to the public, oh, I'm sorry, your children have been molested, we can't help but notice that there's no follow-up, certainly no legal follow-up, no legal consequences to these actions for the perpetrators. Well, that is because of what the Pope himself has decreed, as explained here. Cardinal Ratzinger reinforced the strict cover-up policy by introducing a new principle that the Vatican must have what it calls exclusive competence. In other words, he commanded that all child abuse allegations should be dealt with direct by Rome. So if a priest abuses a child, no one is to go to law enforcement or to bring this out into the public. This is to be dealt with within the church. Does that sound fair to you? So here's the problem. The legal system is representative of the crown of the corporation of the Knights Templar, the Crown Corporation of England, which is the Knights Templar, which are under the Pope, who is deemed to be the representative of God on earth. The only problem is he's not serving God, is he? Which means that those who are under him are not serving God either. And this would explain why there's no justice, systemic corruption, perversion, and all these other kinds of things going on. And I know some of you think that I make fun of Christians, but I'm not making fun of Christians. I'm Christian myself. I believe in the Bible. The Bible will tell you that in the end times we will have an apostate church, and the Antichrist will rule the earth. Everyone will be deceived and will follow after the beast. It tells you that the whole system is corrupt and that the rulers of the world serve evil. And that's what's happening. So you need to stop putting your faith in the government. I'm sure most of you already realize this. Stop putting your faith in the government, in the justice system, in the religious, established religion, because it's absolutely rotten to the core and it serves evil.